Welcome to Daddy's Money Garage. I'm not trying to put anybody down or anything, but have you ever been in traffic and you see somebody's car and just by looking at it, you already know their socioeconomic status?
So this is my 1993 240SX. 240SX platform is a really good platform. Everybody loves them. Over in Japan, you had different motor options. Here, you only typically had one, the KA24 2.4. That was what came in this car in America. Over in Japan, you had a CA18, an SR20, red top and black top. You also had the actual KA24DE. You can swap anything you want to into this thing, and trust me, I've seen a lot of different things, from rotaries to LS's. One guy took a Cat diesel engine and threw it in there. Seen it. Very weird.
I wish I was stupid enough to collect government money.
They're really good cars, they're good platforms, they're actually really balanced. This one's not balanced. This one's used, was in a field.
Oh, I couldn't tell.
You can tell quite nicely that it has sat. But regardless, it's still a really cool car. They were relatively cheap. Now it's gonna cost you an arm and a leg. For one that's not like this, that's halfway decent, I just watched sell for $10,500.
And that's like a completely unmodified 240SX.
Unmodified, the paint was okay. It was a factory manual. This one was not. This was an automatic. And I took it upon myself to make it more fun.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second.
Everybody loves these cars. They really do.
I remember when we were in high school, these cars were starting to go up in value.
Yep.
Because they're like Play-Doh. You can do whatever you want with them. And because of that, they all get trashed.
This one was already previously trashed, and me and my girlfriend have been trying to pump new life into it.
That's real good quality piece right there.
Exactly.
In Japan, when Nissan was building these cars, they didn't get this one, and we didn't get the ones that they built. They built it under Sylvia, right?
So this particular model came in 3 different front end options. You had your pop-ups, you had your Sylvia front end, which had a 3-tier halo HID kind of bubble style, and then they have the sought after one, which is called the front end brick, which was just your high beam, low beam, kind of like in your Honda Civics. Those are the 2 sought after ones.
You could get a Japan only front end and just put it on this one. But then what do you do about these pop-up headlights?
So actually the front end of this, these will unbolt both sides, and the only thing to convert the front end that you would need to take off is the T-bracket up front, and it all unbolts. Just like this one was an automatic. They already had the firewall pressed and the 2 bolt holes for your slave cylinder there. All you had to do was just punch out the little metal, and there you go. You got a manual. That was it.
The way this car looks is kind of it's not great, but these are still like gold to people, even looking like this.
When I first got it up and running, of course it took a new fuel tank, new injectors, stuff like that. I was down at the gas station, and this guy just filling up the car, got my girlfriend with me. He runs out like he's on fire. He's like, hey man, I like your 180SX. And I was like, the 240, but I appreciate it. Not trying to be that guy.
Yeah, you are that guy though.
And then he's like, how much you want for it? And I was like, it's not for sale. He goes, come on man, give me a number. And I was like, you got 12,000 cash? What? I was like, that's it. I mean,
that would be my reaction too, is I ain't giving 12 grand for this piece of shit.
She's like, well, I do. I really love it. Do you know where to find one? And I was like,
Fields.
Sir,
Field. There's a field where these grow.
And I got this one, seriously, in the middle of the woods. Last registered in 1994. Never seen streets.
So it was driven for a year?
The odometer stopped at 212. So whoever had it didn't register and probably drove it, and then it was just like,
He was just
whatever.
like, I ain't paying taxes.
Everything about the car as it sits is pretty much factory minus, I mean, the front end panels.
Is that duct tape factory?
It's actually Gorilla Tape. It's black Gorilla Tape.
So it's factory.
It just...
Oh god, I thought that was paint.
No, that is actual bumper.
That's the bumper itself.
That is the bumper itself.
It's returning to the earth.
Why does that happen?
So when they designed these cars, they didn't think a lot of people, A, wanted them, or B, they were going to survive 30 years. People don't understand is over in Japan, this would fail inspection.
Oh yeah.
This would fail inspection.
Oh yeah.
what he's messing with right now would fail inspection.
Does your radio work?
It does work. That motor
not
actually,
anymore.
everything works. Nothing really leaks.
It
So
still has the factory wheels.
still has the factory wheels.
No one ever has the factory wheels on these cars ever.
And actually, these cars came with 2 different designs with the wheels. You had these ones, which are called snowflakes, and you had another one that was called the sunflower. All the glass is factory, never been replaced. The mirrors are still factory, nothing is really broken. And of course, the dashes are the first things to get broken. It happens. I've got 3 or 4 cracks in it. I don't care, because I just don't care.
I'll prepare for magnificence here. What?
So the story behind
the baby head.
What? That is the creepiest thing I've ever seen.
That's the thumbnail right there.
That's creepy as hell. That is the why.
the dealio with the baby head. I was daily driving it, and I started having some fuel cut problems. My used to be boss, but he sold her shop. He likes to mess with people. So what he did is he knew I wasn't gonna look at the car because it was having problems. I was mad. I let it sit for 3 months. He goes, hey, someone's always watching you. So my paranoid self is looking for cameras like in the bathroom and the break room. Fast forward, I go out to the car and I'm like, I'm going to mess with it. I pop the hood and there's a baby head. I tell him, I was like, hey, is this what you were talking about? He rings me and he starts laughing. And he's like, took you long enough, and slammed the phone down. I was like, oh. So now I am keeping it in there because my boss is no longer my boss. And it will forever be in this engine bay to pay respect to him. Because he was trying to make me smile in a very depressing state.
That's creepy as hell.
That is the weirdest choice to make somebody smile.
We're supposed to be talking about the engine, and we're talking about this. This is the creepy. Like, this has superseded everything.
This is the KA24DE twin cam.
Is there a single jingle?
There is a single jingle, but most of these came in a twin cam. If you got like a 89 or the 88, some of them had a single jingle. And it was very weird because they came in the Nissan hardbody D21s. And it also is still ran off of a distributor with an external igniter. This is a 100% not touched vehicle. It's just there. The only thing I had done with my close friend Tony is we swapped it to a manual.
What did the manual come out of?
The manual came out of a 1996 S14.
Wait, I thought that would be the S13. No, this is an S13.
This is S13.
Right, I was thinking S15s. We didn't get those.
They still use the same transmission.
We've had an experience with this car. I remember you stored this car out in the middle of nowhere.
That was right.
And I gave you a ride in the Plymouth one night to go pick the car up. And Sabrina was with me.
Yep.
We all rode out to this place in just BFE nowhere to get your car. Yep. And on the way back down the interstate, about 10 miles after driving it, you can take over at this point.
So we go and get the car, and mind you, it's been sitting out there because it didn't have a place where I could store it. I didn't want to daily drive it just yet. We go up to the gas station because the fuel gauge doesn't work, by the way, and try putting gas in it, and it starts coming out. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna roll with it. We get out on the interstate, and we're heading back. We're going, and then all of a sudden, like, it gets hot, it gets smoky. He's behind me.
I'm seeing sparks.
And I look down, and at that point, I didn't have the center console on because it was not too long that we'd done the manual swap. And I look, and about the time I look, I see sparks, and I hit clutch. And when I hit the clutch, the drive shaft blows the tail shaft of the transmission off and goes down at like 60 miles an hour and about flings the car up, and he's behind me.
And I watch this whole thing
and he watches it.
And I'm like, huh, well, he almost pole vaulted and died.
Yeah. The shaft is literally like you grabbed it and heated up and bent it down to a curl. So what I did and what my boss did, I had gotten a 2-piece drive shaft. It was too long, go figure. So it didn't work. He cut the ends off, and this man, love him to death, he took a piece of piping for exhaust, welded it on there, and I used that as a drive shaft to try to fix the car. I kept it in there for about 3 months. I got new yokes and new end shafts. For the one that has damage, mind you, is not in balance anymore, really. I shoved it back in the car, and it still runs to this day, and I drive 25 miles back and forth to work. with a bent drop shaft. Speedometer that doesn't work, fuel gauge that doesn't work, everything works. Our coolant gauge kind of flutters a little bit because they made these very cheaply. I accidentally was changing the battery and it poked 2 holes in it. So my gauge will sit there and like, if I'm on it, if I'm off it, it's like, oh yeah, we're good. And then the minute I have to gas it.
Do you own a vehicle that has no problems? Let's show everybody how it sounds going down the street.
I really do
It
apologize.
sounds like every 240 going down the street, really.
Oh, it does the winking thing.
It does the winking thing.
Nice.
Send it, brother. I think it sounds awful.
It's not good. It needs a muffler of some kind.
That was a lot of noise for going that slow.
Yeah.
And that's what happens if you straight pipe your 240.
I think you owe everybody an apology.
I did. I apologize.
No,
like
no,
4
I mean,
times,
I think you need to do. No, look, no. I think you need to do it again.
I apologize for how loud and annoying this car is. I'll finish the exhaust once it's
Not good enough. I'm gonna need like your next paycheck. I guess with that, if you want to help Garrett get a new car by giving us some YouTube revenue, make sure to like and subscribe because he needs it.
I mean, yeah, or I'll make you a proposition. I have 3 choices for this car. Just exterior wise. I leave it alone, I do a wide body on it, or I do a Bosuzoku style. That's the 3 options. I'll let you guys in the comments or whatnot choose, and I will go that way.
If you pick Bosuzoku, I'm overriding it. You know, I just had a flashback of all the Bosuzoku cars I've seen, and it wasn't good.
3 of them?
Like
Wasn't good, or there wasn't enough?
No, the flashback was bad. It was like Vietnam.
You were never in now.
Well, I imagine it's like that. Like and subscribe so that Garrett can like make this not a piece of hot garbage.
And I want to bring you guys along for the ride. Hopefully not in the car though. Still.
You don't want to be in it.
You'll sue if you ride in this.
Seriously.
Catch you in the next one.
See ya.
See y'all.